Hanyuu, where are you? Hanyuu-chan, answer if you can hear us. I heard voices in the distance. And then I saw a girl standing in front of me. She's one of Mion's club members, my most hated enemies. Shit, she's found me. So, I mean, what was the difference there? It was the same, it was Hanyuu. So, surely she should recognize who Hanyuu is now. The rain had already ceased. I decided to come out of the hollow tree. After the rain, it had grown so humid I was starting to sweat all over. I'm soaked in sweat, mud and rain. I feel filthy. I've been bitten by mosquitoes and my body is itching all over. This is why I hate the mountains. Don't say a word. I pointed the gun at her. The girl just looked at me calmly as if she didn't see it. At the very least, she did follow my order. What should I do? Should I take her as my hostage? I only have one bullet. How long can I keep running for? Hanyuu, where are you? Damn, she really is lost. Ah, there she is. Hanyuu-san. Hanyuu, where have you... I really am unlucky to the end. Or maybe you could call this a kind of luck. At the end of it all, I managed to get some vengeance. Do you know what this is? It's a gun. Don't you dare move. The tables have turned now. Damn it, why now? Mion-chan, if you don't want anyone else to get shot, step forward. No, don't do it, Mi-chan. Mion stepped forward quietly. She certainly has a lot of courage. No wonder she's their leader. Thanks to you, I've been ruined. Some scary men on the mountain want me dead. They won't forgive me. But I can't just go out like that. At the very least, I want some revenge. I know you only have one bullet in that gun. That's right. But that one bullet could kill Mion-chan, couldn't it? Takano, are you going to shoot her? Don't move. If you do, I really might just fire this gun. Don't any of you move. Just stay behind me. How courageous. Is this some spirit of self-sacrifice? Rather be shot yourself than letting your friends be shot. Well, it's not that easy to kill someone with just one shot. Of course, it depends on where you hit, though. I'm surprised. How can you be so brave? You want me to shoot you for all the others. Just so you know. Think that I'll hesitate to shoot because they'll rush over here once they hear it. You're sadly mistaken. Go ahead, shoot me. But after you do, my friends will rip you to pieces. Let them try. They say you dig two holes when you curse another. Going down along with the great commander who made Toganagi surrender wouldn't be so bad. Go ahead and shoot me. Make sure that it's me you hit. If you shoot anyone else, I'll put you through hell. Oh my, I'm shaking. Oh, don't, Mi-chan. Takano-san is serious. She really will shoot you. Somehow we'll have to buy some time. Someone from the Blood Arts will come by for sure. I'm sure they will. But I'll shoot you before I lose my chance. Let's see, where should I hit her? You're making the classic villain mistake. You're just talking when you could just, get it over with. I'm not good at this, so forgive me for not being able to aim that well. She's probably got crazy eyes right now. You aren't serious, are you? Don't anyone move. I'm the leader of this club. If I can protect you all, I'll be satisfied with that. If I don't make it, set up a shrine inside of my locker and pray for me there. He'll be taking over my position, Kei-chan. Help him out, okay? This is like the tables are turning here. Nobody can die, otherwise it kind of ruins the happy ending, doesn't it? Everyone, like Rika has pointed out, has to survive. That is the only way that things will truly be the perfect end. And for this, constant loop. Mion is prepared to die. I'm already cornered. I won't accept any words of negotiation. Mion understands that. She doesn't want anyone else to be killed. That was why she chose to be a shield for her friends. It was an easy decision to make for her, because none of her friends would end up hurt. If she ends up just getting injured, that would be a stroke of luck as far as she's concerned. Even if she doesn't make it, she thinks that's far better than seeing any of her friends die. And that's why Takano will shoot. Even though she understands Mion's noble intentions painfully well, it's too visceral for her to accept, so she'll shoot. I will pull the trigger. With all the absurdities of the human world riding on that bullet, I will shoot her. You all play games often, right? Have you ever played Old Maid? Wait, what? Didn't they play Old Maid before? Or maybe it was under a different name. Maybe they compared the rules to being similar to it. No, we play Old Man, though. They use the same rules. Well, it's just like a game of Old Maid. Everyone's trying to foist the Old Maid onto someone else. It's a game that seeks to determine not a winner, but a single loser, the sacrifice. You see, I picked the Joker, but there's nobody else to pass the card to. That's why I'll shoot you, as my revenge. Fitting for this irrational world of man, isn't it? I'm preparing myself to shoot. There's no hesitation left in me. You sure about that? I will shoot her. I'm serious. Mion closed her eyes and opened her arms to try and shield her friends as much as she could. And that was when Hanyuu stepped forward and placed herself in front of Mion. Hanyuu, get back! Brave Mion, I've witnessed your courage. That's more than enough. The Joker can't be passed to anyone else in this human world, and it's my job to accept it. Hanyuu, what are you? Rika, I had a lot of fun in this world. Thank you for letting me join the club. It was so much more fun to be in it than just to watch. So thank you. I enjoyed myself. I was so happy spending time with all of you. That moment Hanyuu glared at me adamantly. Now shoot me, child of man. If that sin you must hoist onto another, I will accept it. Okay. Fine, die! The club members must have thought I was joking, or bluffing. They didn't think that I would actually shoot. There was a noise like something exploding. In a world where time became as sticky as syrup, we saw it happen. A silver bullet hitting an invisible wall in front of Hanyuu, as though the wall was protecting her. The bullet went to pierce Hanyuu's chest, but it couldn't reach its goal. A broad of sweat formed on Hanyuu's forehead. She had stopped the bullet with an invisible force. Hanyuu! I'm okay. I can do this, even in human form. The silver bullet was being pushed back. Takano was startled by this otherworldly phenomena, and then she spoke one phrase. You. Monster! The silver bullet smashed through that invisible wall. There was no longer a wall at all. There was no wall to protect Hanyuu from the bullet. The bullet approached Hanyuu's chest. Somebody let out a silent scream. Nobody could stop it. Nobody could stop that bullet. In that world of frozen time, nobody could stop the bullet that was stopped just inches in front of Hanyuu's chest. Hanyuu's friends had seen this scene before, the moment of checkmate. No matter how much they screamed, there was no way to avoid this tragedy. They knew that from their memories. You will die for sure. Think about the good old times as much as you want. When you're finished doing that, the bullet will pierce your chest, drown in your own blood. I feel like this is a bit forced on the writer's part, to be honest. Unless I was prepared to do so, I wouldn't be here. And you thought that this would take care of everything. And he wasn't supposed to exist in the first place. She would leave the stage and the rest of the cast would stay unarmed. This is how it's supposed to be. It's kind of bullshit if you ask me. But in that moment, something happened to surprise even Hanyuu. In the world of frozen time in which nobody could move, Rika reached out and put her hand on the bullet that was stopped in midair. What? How could she move? Even Hanyuu couldn't move. Why? Could a mere human like Rika grab that bullet? I mean, it's still moving. Don't be so surprised. You've already learned about that. We've learned about how to make a miracle happen. A lot of amazing things happened today, but none of them were worthy of being called a miracle. If we all believed in each other, it was supposed to happen. Therefore, I will perform a real miracle in this very last moment. I am the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama after all, so let me make a miracle happen at the very end. It feels like, remember how this series started? Yeah, you didn't know what everything was going on. You didn't know about what the real cause behind the curse is. But then when they pull back the curtain, it's just like, okay, it's kind of a bit over the top now, isn't it? What is this magical bullshit? Rika rubbed the frozen bullet gently, gave it a pat on the head, very gently, and then held it and embraced it lovingly, her hands at her chest. In that world where not even Hanyuu could move. Now I realize that neither Takano nor Hanyuu listen when other people talk. Didn't you hear what Mion said? We don't play old maid. We play old man instead. Takano laughed and said they were basically the same game, but they're totally different. In Old Maid, a single joker, an unharmonized element is added to a full harmonized set of cards and people try to foist it onto another. But in Old Man, one card is removed from that harmonized world, and everyone foists the unharmonized fragments on each other. It's different than having a joker, because everything would be in harmony if there wasn't something missing. Players try to get rid of something in both games, but what they try to get rid of is very different. In our game, the loser is left with one last card too. I can understand how Takano thought they were the same thing, but they're different. Because in our game, if the missing card was added back in, there would be no loser. Hanyuu, the missing card in this world where someone has to foist their sins onto another, has joined the game. So this game has no losers. Yet you're still trying to take one card away? What a waste of a miracle. This world doesn't need a losing card. That is the answer I finally reached after a 1,000-year journey, trying to find a miracle. The answer has always been there. It was there in the very first game of Mion's club. Yeah, the very first introduction to their club way back in Onikakushi. There was always a loser because we were playing a game of cards with one missing. If we could fill in for the missing card by believing in each other and helping each other, then it would complete a full deck of 52 cards. Let me check. It says something about like 1,000 years, so that kind of confused me. Yep. How am I overlooking it? Oh wait, there it is. Losing card is the answer I finally reached after a 1,000-year journey. So, would that be Hanyuu saying that? Because has Rika really gone through like 1,000 years worth? I mean, she's implied as being like over 100 years trapped in this loop, but 1,000, I'm not so sure on that. That's a bit of a huge jump from 100. That is a complete world without a loser, a complete world where no one is left out. Nobody has to stay out of the circle. Nobody has to cry or be burdened with sins. A world where everyone holds each other's hands and forgives each other's sins. When people live, there will be sin. What's important isn't to avoid sins, but to forgive them. A world can only become ugly and twisted when people try to stay pure. Let us accept our sins. Let us all forgive. That's the answer Rika Freddy reached. A complete world. A world free from the sins of the human world, where one has to become a loser. Rika reached that as a human being. After an unbelievably long time, she finally reached it. Welcome home, Mother. What? The frozen time had begun to thaw. There was smoke coming from the muzzle of Takano's gun, so it was definitely fired. However, nobody got hit. What was that? Welcome home, Mother? Who? What? Now I'm confused by that. I can't remember what... I'm not sure if I even understood it when I originally read these novels. Keiichi looked around fearfully to make sure nobody was bleeding. They were all fine. Nobody had been shot. You missed. Serves you right. The tension lifted in Mion's body, and she began to sweat all over. How did I miss at this distance? You're a crap shot. Well, she probably was a crap shot, but a miracle happened in the most absurd way. All the club members thought the same thing. It was a miracle that the bullet didn't hit anyone. The club members had all felt the same way. They were all thinking, if it's going to hit someone, let it hit me. However, Rika wished for a miracle that was far beyond that. Rika wished for a miracle that was higher than self-sacrifice. She wished for a world where the bullet wouldn't hit anyone. She wished for a world where Takano wouldn't be hurt because she shot someone. I'm starting to wonder. I've never read any of the Umineko series. I might actually, check them out. Maybe even let's play them. It's just like after Higurashi got that. I just would want to know, what kind of tone we're dealing with in Umineko. Anyone can give me, a brief summary, how it compares to Higurashi. Maybe I'll check it out at some point. But in that, there's a character called... I'm not sure what kind of role she plays in it, and we've seen her name appear a few times. Frederica Burnskell. It's that is connected to Rika somehow, and I wonder if this is, somehow related to that kind of weird split. Whatever it actually is, it's weird. Maybe that's connected to that welcome home mother. What does that even mean? Is that I don't know what to make of that line. That is just weird. Sure, well, we're talking who wouldn't be hurt because she shot someone. Wait, what? She wished for a world where Takano wouldn't be hurt because she shot someone. Okay. Footsteps were rushing towards them. Takano tried to run, but she tripped over a root and a scrapbook in her hand scattered everywhere. As she tried to gather up the papers, members of the Bloodhounds surrounded her. Well, the Bloodhounds pointed their guns her way, and some even poked her with them, but Takano still didn't stop gathering up the papers. Some of the men stepped on the papers, and Takano tried to pull them out from under them. She tried to pull them out, begging them in tears not to step on her precious papers. Major Takano, you're under arrest. So it's all my fault, is it? The club members, feeling bad for her, looked at the ground. Stand up, put your hands behind your back. Hey, don't resist. No. What? I just take my grandpa's scrapbook with me. No. Look, I just wanted to pick up the pages of her scrapbook. But the Bloodhounds, thinking that she's just resisting, pulled on her hand to make her, try to make her stand up. Well, this was her fate. It was too hard to watch her be treated that way. And then a noble voice resounded among them. Wait. Finally, the music's back. Radiating with divine light, a man appeared. They all knew this man very well, but they had never seen him look so determined. I'm First Lieutenant Tomitaka from the Research Division. I'll take it from here. But, sir, we have been ordered by headquarters to bring her back to Tokyo immediately. Can't you tell? Just look at her. Look at all the scars. She's been scratching herself. She must have Inbizawa syndrome. Yeah, it seems pretty obvious at this point. She's definitely not been taking the shot. There were lots of... Or maybe it's because, the amount of stress from all that is, escalated it very quickly. There were lots of horrible scars on her wrists, arms, and neck. Takano had scratched herself throughout the day because of all the stress. There was no way for anyone to be certain if those marks were symptoms of the syndrome. I mean, it could just be Tomitaka trying to save her ass. Maybe. But then Tomitaka said that, it certainly sounded true. But the Major must have been given medication to prevent her from contracting the disease. There's no way she should have it. Haven't you read the report? It says that the inhalation isn't 100% effective. If you've read the report completely, you would know that these are symptoms of the terminal stage. Research Division thinks that her treatment should take priority. We must determine if this incident was truly her will, or if she became delusional due to the syndrome, leading someone to take advantage of the situation. We have to be very, very certain, otherwise it'll be impossible to resolve this matter. Was it her fault, or was it the fault of her disease? The boss will determine that right now. To make sure she has the right to receive treatment, she is obligated to let herself be treated. Shiro-san. Take her to the Erie Institute so that she can be examined immediately. Notify Lieutenant Colonel Erie so he can prepare to treat Major Takano. However, from here on, the Major will be placed under strict observation and all activities will be restricted. The particular order should come from command through Colonel Oka, Director of Investigations. Bloodhounds conveyed all this information over the radio. Nobody had any objections. Their job was to arrest her, after all. Any interrogations or investigations after that were the job of investigations. So if those were the orders from investigations, then that was that. Tomitake walked over to the muddy figure of Takano. Shiro-san. Shiro-san. Takano buried her face in Tomitake's chest and cried. Only Tomitake and Takano knew the meaning of those tears. Sorry for being late. I'm here for you. Shiro-san, Shiro-san. You're not as bad as you think you are. I mean, you kind of were. You were as bad as you think you are, but you can start over. You can start your life over as Miyoko Tananashi. I can't. I've committed too many sins. I shouldn't be allowed to start over. I should be dead. Otherwise the weight of my sins will... Well, that's true. Your sins may not be so light, but don't worry. I'll be with you. We can atone together. Let's atone for Miyoko Takano's sins. And let's bring back Miyoko Tananashi together. Until then, I'll be right here with you. Can I continue to live? Can I live? A friend tells me that if I die, things will work out. But can I still live? You're saying I'm allowed to live. Can I be forgiven? The world may not forgive you, but so what? I'll forgive you, so let's live. Death can't atone for sins. You must live and ask the world to forgive you, and then start your life over. Then you will remember. You will remember what kind of person you used to be, and what kind of smile you used to have. After a while, Takano was taken to the Erie Institute in handcuffs. She was, however, handcuffed with her hands in front of her. She was holding the scrapbook. Tomitake had cleaned the mud off of it. The downpour from the early afternoon had passed. The cicadas began singing again, reminding everything that this was a normal June in Inmizawa. Shouldn't it be everyone, not everything? It was so hot despite being June, and the sky was brilliantly clear. Someone asked someone else the time. She looked at her watch. It was 3 p.m. Otanigashi Festival would be starting at 5. It was almost time. Even from there, the Furede Shrine could be seen. Well, if they could be seen from there, then how come nobody noticed all the helicopters and, all the chaos? There were red lanterns hanging all over. Once the sun went down, those lanterns would be lit. It was almost time for the Otanigashi Festival. And with that, everything would end. When the Higurashi cry. Title drop. The game that stretched across different worlds had ended. And what the winner obtained after their victory is that the game ended without a loser. Even Takano apparently gets not necessarily a happy ending, but at least she doesn't die as well, I guess. And he was prepared to leave after the game was over, but she was still there. She was allowed to be there. In other words, she wasn't the card that was taken away. The card that was taken to play their game of Old Man was no longer there. The breeze rustled Hanyuu's sweaty, messed up hair. She was dumbfounded. Rika went over and stood next to her. She didn't need to say anything. She only smiled at Hanyuu. That girl had pretended to be a bystander, but decided to step onto the stage. Then she thought that was enough and tried to step off of it. With those memories of her bright time on stage, she tried to step off, but someone grabbed her sleeve and stopped her. She was told that she could stay. Then she realized she was still on the stage, and she didn't have to leave after all. There was a spot for her on the stage, and she was no longer a bystander. Now, if she's going to continue living in the human world, will she, age at all? What I find strange is Hanyuu's backstory kind of is like it doesn't feel like it. It pretty much goddamn implies that she was like an adult, before she was, sacrificed. So how is she in the form of a child? I'm wondering now that I think about it, maybe it's to do with Rika. As Rika ages, Hanyuu will age too. That might be what it is. Maybe that's what it is, like the reincarnation kind of thing, and then it's just like she adapts to that age-wise. So Hanyuu was no longer a bystander, and that was an unbelievable miracle. She didn't even exist in the script. Nobody needed her to be there, but the miracle had allowed her to stay. It's like, you weren't in the script originally. Although maybe I wonder how long her character was thought out to be what she ended up being. Because, like, right from the start, I'd imagine from the start they didn't have this grand idea of, Hanyuu being, like, real and her personality and her backstory and all that. They probably just created a mysterious event, and then, like, as they went along in the series, thought of new ideas, and then ultimately when they got to the final one, it's like, okay, this is how we're gonna do this. Okay, that's Rika. You suffered so much during your journey. This miracle is enough to repay you for what you've gone through. So I guess she was referring to Hanyuu when she was like talking about the 1,000 years thing. Wow, this is more than enough. This miracle is more than enough. Rika smiled at Hanyuu one more time and passed her what was in her right hand. Hanyuu felt something cold and hard. What was it? Hanyuu slowly opened her hand and looked at it. It was the bullet Takano had fired. Wait, how did that work? She grasped it in her hand. Shouldn't that have blown her hand off when time restarted? I mean, I guess she stopped its momentum completely somehow. It doesn't really make sense. But imagine if the scene just takes a sudden dark turn and it's like, here you go, and then suddenly it explodes and kills Hanyuu. It's like, shouldn't have done that. This was the proof of their miracle. It was the proof that Hanyuu could exist there. It was the proof that they could be together forever and ever. And the music stopped. It'll be dark soon. It's time for the festival. Ow! We'll have so much fun together. You can't just watch us anymore. I'm sure there will be plenty of punishments to torment the poor newcomer. I don't have to just watch the Matsuribayashi festival, huh? That's right, because you don't watch a festival, you enjoy it. Were they testing the speakers? It was still bright outside, but there was music playing already. The cheap dubbed BGM, a collection of festival music, could be heard from the Friday shrine in the distance. It sounded so exciting to her. This was what she had wanted to join in all this time. It's like, oh, this festival is like, she finally got to take part in it after 1,000 years, when she was like the, original inspiration for it because she was ritualistically sacrificed. Kind of morbid. Rika held her hands. Let's go together. Let's go to the Matsuribayashi festival. All of us. Together. Yeah. Gotta say, I mean, it's fitting for the final arc in the main Higurashi series that it's so much longer than all the other ones were. They had almost too much energy left. It had been a long day and many things had happened, but they still had the energy to go to the festival. It was, after all, the special day of Matsuribayashi. The curse of Higurashi had been lifted, and no tragedy would ever occur again. It was the first peaceful Matsuribayashi, the first one without a tragedy since the dam conflict. The villagers had noticed that the phone lines were disconnected during the day, but it was fixed so quickly that they didn't pay much attention. They heard the Self-Defense Force helicopter near the mountains, but rumor had it that they came to the wrong place for their training. Okay, so that would explain it, because it would be pretty obvious that something was going on, wouldn't it? So like, oh, sorry, our bad, but we got the wrong place. The elderly villagers laughed and said that the young men in the National Defense Force need to pay more attention. Some people say the Self-Defense Force even came to the area clinic. Villagers didn't even get suspicious about that. They assumed that the area clinic had started doing physical checkups for the SDF. bit of a stretch. There were pieces of broken glass on the roadside near the village border, as if there was an accident. Some people wondered how anyone could have had an accident when there was no obstruction on the road. Elderly people said to each other that they always had to drive carefully, even on a familiar road. But it looked only like a trace of a normal accident, so they didn't get suspicious. Wait, was that Irie's car, maybe? That's what they're talking about there. Rest was a ghost story. The villagers heard an extra firework to signal the festival taking place. It wasn't an echo. Wait, didn't it transition to nighttime? Why is it daytime now? The people in charge of the festival, the fireworks, were puzzled. But when Rika said, "Oh, sure, some must have shot the extra firework," the villagers simply believed that was true. It was the night of Tanagashi, despite the previous screen not being nighttime, the biggest festival of the year. The villagers forgot their worries and enjoyed themselves. Clan members were doing great as usual. It's weird, isn't it? You got these real people in these images, and then you got all the main characters on the screen randomly. I guess Hanyuu and Rika didn't do too good in that game. Probably beat the shit out of Irie for being a weirdo there. Mion, of course, not amused with Shion because Shion, likes to tease the shit out of her. That's kind of a sibling thing. I mean, Chie's there as well. It's like, what are you doing? The members were doing great as usual. They were doing so great that they were all taken to the main tent and yelled at by the mayor. Yeah, well, that was just a long transition. That was a normal Tanagashi night for the villagers, but there was one thing that was very different. The girls fought for an unimaginably long time in many different worlds for the sake of this night. However, nobody would ever know that. Except for them.